number 4, success. So you're online, share your thoughts with us. Of course, there's a chat on YouTube, so drop your questions. We'll be feeding them to the panelists and they'll be answering for us. So before we get into the panelist discussion, we're going to be talking to Andrea Dempster-Chung, and she is from Kingston Creative. Now, she's going to be talking to us about some of the projects that they've been working on, some of those projects that you can also get involved with. So welcome, Andrea. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Tavia. Lovely to be here. Happy that it's happy Friday. Happy Friday, everyone.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. So, Andrea, tell us about, what's the main thing that Kingston Creative is focusing on right now that you want to share with us today?
Well, we're really still excited about our deal with the IDB. It is a 3-year, $1.295 million investment in creatives. And we're so excited that we're going to be able to, bring a lot of different opportunities to creatives through this partnership with the IDB. Shall I tell you a little bit about some of them?
Well, of course, but I remember before you get into those details, what about, the impact that this can also have on the community? Talk to us a little bit about that first.
Well, I mean, maybe we should start with how can community get involved? Creatives who are from the communities in and around downtown, there's about 18 communities from Jonestown, Hannahtown, Denhamtown, all those communities that are in Raytown, let's not leave out Southside and Parade Gardens. They all have creative people resident in these communities. And so there are lots of opportunities for community creatives specifically to get involved with KC. The first one, of course, is the Art Walk. We are still holding our Art Walk. It's still being broadcast, live streamed from downtown, live from downtown series. And so community creatives can reach out to us and absolutely perform at the Art Walk. They can also speak at a Meetup. And we have an artisan store in downtown Kingston. So for anybody from the community who is a maker, whether you do stone carving, wood carving, jewelry, any kind of tangible thing that you make, fashion, we have a store downtown and it's half price for community creatives to be a part of the Artisan Collective, right? So that's a nice zero commission store. It's on Ocean Boulevard, number 12, under the UDC building, just in case anybody doesn't know where it is. And there's lots of stuff from creatives in this shop that can be supported. And then, of course, there's training. So through the IDB, we're doing this thing, Tavia, where we're having a partnership with Heart and the IDB to deliver lots of training. And this is training in business skills, in IP protection, in social media, in digital marketing. We know everything's going tech, right? And the program with the IDB is about creativity and technology. So it's really looking at how can we get creatives ready to, get on these platforms and to start, using technology comfortably to accelerate their businesses and to grow themselves. So those are some of the key opportunities.
So let's say, I make jewelry, for example, Andrea, and I live in Raytown, and you're talking about these things that I'm hearing about, how I can be a part of it. How do I, what's my first step? So yes, I know I can be a part of it, but, what do I really do practically?
So right in downtown, you can either go physically to the Artisan store, which is on Ocean Boulevard, or you can go to our Creative Hub. And the Creative Hub is also half price for every community creative. So you can go there and you can simply tell them that you want to get involved and they will guide you through the process. The Creative Hub has a podcast studio. It has a digital photography studio. It has meeting rooms, co-working, and everything in there. Equipment that you can use to create content, lighting. So everything in there is half price if you live in the community of downtown, live or work in downtown. So, we really encourage you to reach out that way. And if you want to send an email, you can email us at info@kingstoncreative.org. That's info@kingstoncreative.org. Or you can also reach out directly to the hub at creative@hubcoworking.com. So, there's lots of ways to get in touch with us. And of course, don't forget social media. So if you just DM us on Twitter or send us a message on Instagram, we'll be really happy to plug you in.
Okay, perfect. And those Instagram handles, that's Kingston Creative JM. And I believe Twitter, that's KGN Creative. So guys, you have all these options to access these, grants, be a part of these trainings. Is there anything else about this IDB partnership that people should know about? For example, those who don't live in downtown Kingston, who also want to benefit from this partnership with IDB?
Well, this month has been really exciting because we're starting to plan out the 3 major platforms. So we're creating an app that is taking a digital map of downtown Kingston and Port Royal, and the different areas on it are being digitized. And then we're adding sound. So, you know, Kingston created 8 different genres of music. And so this app will help you to navigate from location to location and listen to the music that's been created in the city of Kingston. And then that's not all. If you are, for example, click on Trenchtown Culture Yard, you can book your tour to Culture Yard through this app. And if Trenchtown Culture Yard has a gift shop, you can click on it and purchase from the gift shop. So it's e-commerce, it's tours, and it's just navigating yourself through the city of, you know, city of Kingston, or creative city of music. So it's very exciting. And so that is kicking off right as we speak. So and that's what we've been
like Jamaica, like Kingston, Jamaica.
Okay. Yeah. It's happening. I mean, I think we've taken probably a long time to kind of adopt technology. And so, you know, if there's a COVID silver lining, because every day I'm looking for it, every day that I'm stuck at home, I am looking for the lining. Part of it is that it's kind of forced us to adopt some technological things that we should have done before. Every creative should have had a website. If you sell things, if you sell services, every creative should have had a website. And so now it's pushing us in that direction, you know, and there's no going back. So even when things open back up, you still be ready to do business with the rest of the world.
Wow, beautiful. I mean, there are so many things that creatives can be a part of now, but of course, we're not going to forget that this weekend too, there is also some excitement that they can. I mean, is there any space left? It's all booked out for Art Walk. It's just for us to tune in on Sunday.
Yes. Yeah, man, on a Sunday, we have some amazing acts. We have Tessellated, who's going to be performing live from downtown. Everybody can watch on YouTube. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you can set yourself a little reminder so you don't miss it. It'll be Sunday live streamed at 12, from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Tessellated, Zena France, Nexus is doing some gospel classic reggae pieces. So I'm looking forward to that. And there'll also be a song clash. Now the song clash is 1990s and early 2000s. And I'm really protesting because what about 80s? What about 80s dance hall, TV? I don't know who made that decision. Should have vetoed it. But there'll be a lovely song clash for anybody who wants to tune in and listen.
Nice. So it's just pure vibes for Kingston Creative this weekend and going forward for this year. So, you know, thank you so much for sharing that with us, guys. Remember, if you want to be a part of it, jump onto their social media accounts, Kingston Creative JM on Instagram, KGN Creative on Twitter. Email them. Is it info@kingstoncreative.org? And
yes, info@kingstoncreative.org. Spell it all the way out. Tavia, I just want to say, like, this topic that we're discussing today, I know you have a wonderful, amazing panel coming up. The topic that we're discussing today is so near and dear to my heart because Kingston Creative has been nothing without collaboration. You know, it has been the way forward, and it's the way that industries grow stronger. You know, and I think our creative industry is at a point right now when it's severely, severely challenged, you know, for people who make their day-to-day bread and butter from creativity. We're in a crisis, and collaboration is like so important. You know, we've always said collaboration over competition. So I'm really excited to hear about all these associations that are collaborating and to see how they maybe can collaborate with each other.
True.
I'm looking forward to this talk.
Know about it because, you know, a lot of these, they may not even know they exist.
It's true.
Even say, okay, I want to be a part of it, or how can I be a part of it? Because I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. So it's really good too that Kingston Creative always puts together these conversations that are so important for the creative industry to grow. It's good to talk about these things and then make those next steps to say, okay, what next are we gonna do? So I'm really excited for our talk as well. And thank you so much for putting it together and for joining us and talking about what Kingston Creative is up to.
No problem. Thanks, Tavia. Have a great talk with the panel.
All right, guys. So thank you so much, Andrea. And just as a reminder for those of you who are also with us here on Zoom and on YouTube, drop those questions in the chat. We're going to be feeding them to the panelists. And of course, you can drop them here in the Zoom chat as well. And we'll be taking your questions and we'll be having a lovely discussion around collaboration. So your thoughts are very important to us as well. We have a wonderful panelists as usual. I mean, they're from different organizations that, as I said before, I didn't even know about too. Some of you may not know about them. Some of you may not know they exist and how to be a part of them. So I want to introduce them so that they can tell us a little bit about their organization. We have JARIA, Jamaica Reggae Industry Association. We have Ewan Simpson, the Jamaica Writers Society, Tanya Batson Savage. We also have the Jamaica Music Society, JAMS, and that's Evan Mullings. JAFTA, which is Annalisa Chapman, and also JAN, which is Jamaica Animation Network. and that's Shireen Peart. So I'm going to start off with the Jamaica's Writers Society. Tanya, you can tell us a little bit about your organization and, you know, what it is that you do.
Greetings, everybody. Thank you very much for having us here. So basically, the Jamaica Writers Society was created to help to support and engender a thriving writing community in Jamaica that can contribute to the nation economically, socially, and of course, culturally. And it's important for us to underline that because as we'll get into it more, one of the challenges with the creative sector, and writing in particular is particularly challenged by this, is when it is considered that your contribution is only cultural or social, it's considered soft. So when it's being determined who gets how much money, the soft ones get less because, you know,
Direct contribution.
Exactly. So for us, it's very important to highlight that we also contribute to the nation on an economic level. We are interested in promoting the state of writers and writing based on 5 basic pillars. That's industry development, writing development, lobbying, providing reading opportunities and encouraging reading, and identifying publishing possibilities. And I need to underscore that it's identifying publishing opportunities. We now publish somebody work, but we will help you to find spaces to look and to highlight opportunities that might come up.
Okay, so Tanya, I mean, I'm a writer. There are probably writers in the chat. There are probably writers listening in on YouTube. Quickly, could you tell us, how do I join? So what do I do to be a part of the society?
So the trick with JAWS right now, and right now is a time for you to show your interest, because JAWS is at the state where, and we can discuss that later, where it is struggling for survival. And it's not struggling for survival because of a lack of relevance, but it is a lack of making it a real self-sustaining beast, which so many societies and organizations struggle with. Right now, so it's a professional organization, so you need to have been published. And published for us is an interesting word because we accept writers from all segments. So if you are a journalist, you qualify. If you, and that means if you're a television journalist or otherwise, it doesn't matter, as long as you write. So you write the news, you qualify. If you write scripts, whether it is for film or for plays, you qualify. So publishing in this sense can mean performance, right? So you need to be that. One of the easiest ways to find us right now is via our social media. So we're Jamaica Writers on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That is where you can find us basically. And we'll be posting more and talking more about these things over the next few weeks.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Tanya. Of course, we're going to be talking a lot more about how the other organizations represented on this panel too can all collaborate together. Because persons listening may think, okay, they do that, they do that, they do that. How is it that they all come together? So I think this is a perfect segue to JAFTA because you even mentioned them in terms of, you know, whether you write for film and so on. So I'm going to ask Annalisa Chapman to join me to just tell me a little bit, you know, about your organization for those who may not be sure how they fit in. So just talk to us a little bit about that.
Hi, greetings everyone. Thank you as well for having us. Yes, so JAFTA now represents the audiovisual community. We actually, as Tanya was mentioning, that JAWS came out of that need to create more institutional building, as it were. So JAFTA, as young as we are, and although there has been an audiovisual community for decades, it was very isolated. And there came a point where the community decided to come together and say, let us build our own firm footing. Let us find a way to advocate for our own needs and bridge the gaps that we found within our industry. So essentially, our mandates focus on 3 core things: community, development, industry. everything we do, everything we work towards are built around those three key terms. Community in terms of growing it, in terms of strengthening it, development in terms of the type of initiatives that we advocate for and try and implement or facilitate, so that the skill sets of our community are strengthened. And of course, industry, which I think captures a lot of what the associations and what Kingston Creative also is all about in terms of building that creative ecosystem in a very tangible way, in a manner that persons not only contribute, but can benefit from their creative works in a manner that is sustainable. So those are the things that JAFTA is geared towards.
Okay, so let's say a creative. What qualifies me as a filmmaker? Because if I say I am documenting my own life or the life of my friends, and I'm making these films, I'm saving them, so I have a record of it. What is it that makes me a filmmaker or allows me to be a part of an organization that will lobby for me or help me with certain opportunities, or how can I be a part of JAFTA?
Okay, so that's one of the great things about JAFTA. In and of itself, its membership is a collaborative community. Filmmaking of itself is collaborative. So everyone from, if you're a PA, a grip, if you're involved in lighting, if you're a screenwriter, a producer, a director, if you're an actor, makeup artist, a storyboard artist, once you are once you're practicing in the local audiovisual film industry, you are eligible to become a member.
Okay.
And
so
we
tap you say, hey, Annalise, I'd love to be a part of this organization. How would I be able to start that conversation with JAFTA? Is it an email? Do I call? What's the process?
It's a very simple process. I mean, we do have our website, jaftaonline.org. We're on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at JAFTA Online. It's a simple reach out. And the good thing about us, we have our meetings every month, every last Thursday. They're open. You don't have to be a member to join. So if you want to just come, feel it out, get a sense of the community, see if this is the right fit, or maybe just come and learn, take away something that you can use, whether as an individual or to give back to the community in which you are the right fit for, then that's fine. It's a very open, we're very welcoming, so you don't have to be scared of us at all.
Okay, that's beautiful. That's lovely. I mean, I'm sure there are some persons here who may not have even known that you have that open segment that they can be a part of it. You said it was every last Thursday. They'll get details on your social media. How would they join again? Could you remind them?
How would they join?
For the meetings on every last Thursday.
Well, they're usually publicized through our mailing list. They're publicized on our social media pages. We send the links out. We try and make everything as open as possible so as many persons can access. And I feel that especially in the virtual space, hopefully more persons are seeking or taking advantage rather of that opportunity.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much, Annalise. Of course, we're also going to be talking a lot more about how all of us here can collaborate, some of the projects that you're working on. But I'm going to use this opportunity to segue to Edwin Mullings, and he is the general manager of JAMS, that's Jamaica Music Society. We want to talk about the same thing pretty much. Let us know what's JAMS really about, and how can people be a part of it.
All right, well, thank you, Tavia, and good evening to the rest of the panelists, and certainly to your viewers as well.
Thank you so much.
It's good to be on this panel in particular. The whole subject of collaboration, it's intriguing for many reasons, especially because it's a commonly used word, and it's almost a buzzword as well. But the extent to which you find effective collaboration really is certainly another thing. But we'll get into that later, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yes. So as it relates to JAMS, I mean, we are 14 years deep, as they would say, and we are basically on the business end of the music industry. So we handle royalty collections for record producers and performers. That's the simplest way I could put it. We handle royalty collections. We are what is called a neighboring rights society. So on the one hand, you would have what is called an author society, which would be, let's say, JCAP in Jamaica's case, yes?
Right.
And on the other hand, you'd have JAMS. So both societies, both organizations basically represent the two broad groups of rights owners that you'd find where musical rights are concerned. Jacob representing songwriters, composers, and Jams representing producers and performers. Like I said, we've been doing this now for 14 years, but we did not just appear out of the blue, to be honest with you. We basically, there was a foundation, a very strong foundation in terms of some industry bodies that existed, and there was a clear need for this particular type of service, let's put it that way. Now, Annalisa is on the panel, and she will remember some of the good days, the early days of Jams, and some of those times that we went through. She can tell some of the stories, but we emerged from that period when the music industry was shifting quite a bit at the time. The CDs had been taken over by downloads in the early 2000s, and here came Jams in 2007, beginning its operation, basically trying to now close a gap that had emerged because there was a significant fall off at the time in industry revenues. And so in terms of looking at other revenue streams that existed, especially outside of Jamaica, there was a recognized need for a society like ours to then assist producers in ensuring that they were able to remain viable and had a flow of royalties coming into them outside of the typical streams of royalties. And so the international body called IFPI, International Federation of the Phonographic Industry, they basically, collaborated actually with a number of local bodies and persons, and basically saw to the establishment of Jams. And here we are 14 years later. I'm happy to say that I'm the founding general manager, and saw it from the ground up basically. And we are now representing a considerable number of industry practitioners on the producer side, and certainly also on the performer side as well.
Beautiful. So as a musician or as a creative, how can I be a part of Jam? So even, for example, even if I have a little home studio and I make my own music, do I qualify, or do I need to collaborate with a bigger producer, or what's the opportunity for creatives across the board regardless of their level?
Well, I mean, it's really and truly it's a democratized field, so to speak, and it's very open to producers. Let's start with producers. It's open to producers of music once you can meet a particular criteria, and the criteria is simply that you must have released at least 3 sound recordings commercially. And commercially for us really means that you've not just put it on YouTube or send it to a few stations. That is what we call promotional release. Okay. So the music must be available, the recordings must be available for purchase, whether in a regular store or even online, yes? So the commercial release is a key factor for us, because we want to know that as producers, you have at least taken that extra step of not just making the music, but now making it available in a wider field as possible, so that it becomes economically viable, not just for you, but for all parties involved, including the collecting societies, to be able to now pursue on your behalf, and protect the rights that are there, and basically bring in the economic value that probably will be attached to that. So it doesn't matter where you're operating from, whether a home studio or one of the established studios, it doesn't really matter. Once you are releasing music on a commercial basis, then you certainly can become a member of Jams once you meet that minimum criteria.
Okay, now how do I join? And currently, do you have a figure of probably how many members you even have, so persons can appreciate the level of work that Jams is taking part of?
Well, I really like to say we're a small company doing big business, and that's actually it's a true statement, because on the one hand, we represent approximately 1,300 producers, local producers, let me start there. And that really runs the gamut from the aspiring producer who has really simply just released 3 recordings. He's really just stepping out the blocks, all the way across to the established producers and the long-standing producers in the business. And when I say producers, I mean that from the individual standpoint as well. So you can be a self-producing artist,
right?
You can be a producer in your own right as an individual, or when we say producer, we also mean record labels as well. And so it really runs at the entire range, all the way back to the foundation of Jamaica's recorded music industry. So all of those labels from that time until this time, all of those major labels and major producers, I'm happy to say, are actually with Jams. So whomever wishes to join would be in excellent company. So we've really, I think, made a name for ourselves. I can't say it enough per se. I'd rather our members and the industry speak on that.
Okay.
I think we've been effective enough in, getting to the members what really we told them that we would have gotten for them, which is royalties.
So could you remind us, is it your website we'd visit? Is there an email address that you could share with us for those who would want to get more information to see if they've done enough work or if they've done the type of work that would allow them to be a part of your society? How would they go about that?
Okay, well, it's easy enough. You can reach us on across social media, Instagram preferably for us, and that's Jams, JAMS, 4 music, Jams digit 4 music. We're also on Twitter and Facebook, but Instagram is where most of our audience and stakeholders are. So that's where we like to be. But other than that, you can shoot us an email at musicmaker@jamsonline.com or simply call us 978-1010. But before I wrap, I could not wrap without basically concluding on the scope of our representation. So the local representation is what I just spoke about. But in terms of our mandate, we're also covering international rights holders as well. And so we are handling in the Jamaican space the repertoire of all the majors. So the Sonys, Universal, Warners, EMIs, and so forth of this world. Jams handles those mandates from them, along with the catalog also coming from our partner societies internationally in the USA, the UK, and so forth. UK alone, we have over 20,000 labels coming to us from the UK alone. So we're really and truly part of an international system that collaborates to ensure that each country is able to, make the most of the rights of its local creators and owners.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing all of that information with us. And of course, later on, we're going to talk some more about how we can collaborate with Jams, even with the other organizations that are here. So thank you for sharing that with us. And we'll talk again later on when we have some more questions or topics around that. And of course, I mean, what's music if we're not talking about reggae? So I think this is a perfect segue, talking to you and Simpson to tell us about JARIA, the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association. For those of us here who are not familiar with the organization or how we can be a part of it, I would love for you to share with us a little bit about the organization and, of course, how can I join? How can I be a part of it to collaborate?
How do you do? Good afternoon. It's good to be here. It's good to be. Hi, Andrea. I have all friends in here, which is wonderful. But let me say that JARIA, first of all, if you wish to join JARIA, and JARIA, we consider JARIA to be an umbrella organization for entertainment in Jamaica. I know we are called the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association, but consider that we use reggae to define all things sexy about Jamaica. Right? So
I'm not complaining.
I can understand why you'd respond. but at the end of the day, you can find us. Let me just start with where you can find us. JARIAentertainment.com. That's too easy. JARIAentertainment.com. And you can become a member there, or membership form, which is quite easy and interactive, is there available on the website. And you can also find us on Instagram at JARIA Entertainment and on Facebook at JARIA Entertainment. So we are available and easy to find. And we want all members of the entertainment industry to find us because we are intending, our mandate is to unite the industry. That's the first thing. So we know we have people interested in music, people interested in film, people interested in literary arts, people who are production personnel, people who are interested in media. We are here as an organization which allows everybody to speak as one voice, because as an industry, we actually have very similar and very interconnected objectives and challenges.
Right.
So we're here.
Beautiful. So, I mean, as you said, it's so simple. You gave us one, who Jaria is, how you can join. So succinctly, I mean, guys, you don't have any excuses to go and hit up Jaria to find out how you can be a part of it. And
Absolutely.
Of course,
and I mean, the membership fee. Come on, the membership fee is not even a good meal, and so.
Well, when they come, you can talk to them about it, and even give them
Absolutely.
more reason as to why they want to be a part of the organization. And later on, we're gonna talk about you can think about any project that you're working on now that you want to share with us, and how that can help with the collaboration, even with the organizations that are here now. But before we talk
Absolutely.
about that, we talked about writing, we talked about music, we talked about film, and all of those already we're seeing that they can come together in one. But what we didn't talk about was animation, which, with everything now we're seeing, it's not just filming people. It's about giving you that feel of what's going on, even if it's a music video, if it's a film, whatever it is that comes into play as well, doesn't it? So I'm gonna segue to Shireen Peart and have her tell us a little bit about the Jamaica Animation Network. I mean, some people may not even know that there is an animation network in Jamaica. It sounds foreign to a lot of us. So please tell us about it and how, if I'm an animator, how I can be a part of it.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shireen Peart. I'm the new kid on the block, and so is our industry. So, we're a pair. Okay, to talk about animation, we're highly similar to JAFTA in the sense that we are a collaborative endeavor. We take artists, storyboarders, musicians, filmmakers, although a lot of people wouldn't think, what does a filmmaker do in animation? We do have a lot of filmmakers, writers. So it's a highly collaborative endeavor. You cannot do animation by yourself. Mm-hmm. You can try, but it's going to take you a long, long time. What the Jamaica Animation Nation Network does is that we are advocating for the advancement of animation in Jamaica, mostly because a lot of people don't know animation is older than Jan. We have many established Jamaicans in the industry, both here and overseas. Two examples would be Coretta Singer, who is our founder, and Melissa Lynn, who works at Mercury Filmworks. You would know she's a Jamaican. So she's an established animator currently working in Canada. So we work on developmental initiatives with JAMPRO, other animation networks across the Caribbean, for example, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Guyana. I'm sure many people didn't even know Suriname also had an animation network. We do workshops, we help our members network, we give them networking opportunities, we give them exposure, help them prepare for festivals. We also try to highlight festivals that would be a good fit for the skill level of our members. And we also help with pitch guidance. For example, those of you, well, everybody is in the creative industry, you know how pitching can go. And government policy consultation and a whole lot more. Even now, one of our biggest projects is a interregional collaboration between animation networks. So we're trying to set up a platform where we can collaborate across the Caribbean with the different animation networks, because it takes a lot of people to make the high quality animations. There's a reason the credits are that long. So that's basically where we're at right now.
Oh, nice. So Shireen, I'm an animator. I mean, you guys been probably thinking, wow, TV, you're a lot of things today, but I'm an animator. How do I become a part of your organization? I mean, what are the steps that I take?
Okay, so the first step that you can take is to go to animationjamaica.com and to click join, and that will give you a very pretty form. Our previous web designer designed it. It's a pretty form. You sign it, that will add you to our mailing list, and that will give you what we call a free membership. We have other tiers of membership. I've just become president this year, so I am reorganizing some of the membership details and operations of Jan. But right now, as far as I know, we have three. We have professional, premium, and student, because it's not only adults or well-established. We also have to take care of our high school students and our primary school students. I recently learned there's a 15-year-old who published his first episode of an animation called Bob's World. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's not only the adults who are out here going on about animation. Those younger than us, they're making moves and they're ready.
That's lovely. And I mean, that segues us into, I mean, you already mentioned it, a project that you're working on. Is this something that's happening in 2021 to connect animators across the Caribbean? Is that something that people can be a part of or collaborate with? Even other members here who are from these other organizations, is that something that they can be a part of?
Yes, so we are collaborating with JAMPRO. It is a project of the CIIF and the Caribbean Development Bank. And then we partnered with Titan, which is Trinidad and Tobago Animation Network. It's a whole lot of people. So I'm just gonna list the countries: Suriname, Barbados, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago. I don't want to miss anybody because I know they're here and they're watching. Yeah. So I'll get in trouble later if I miss them.
And if others who are not a part of it, a part of that project, if they want to support, is there an opportunity to support outside of those who are already confirmed?
Yes, there's an opportunity to support. So what we're trying to build is a business model so that animation studios and freelancers who want to work together or want to attract larger projects from the international arena. Most of the times you don't have the manpower, the sheer manpower to handle these projects. And so what we decided is that we're going to get together as associations and combine the workforce of the different Caribbean countries and operate as a regional industry.
Okay.
And so we're at the stage now where we are trying to gather information about the industry and the potential workforce.
Mm-hmm.
So we've reached out to various institutions that are providing training and so on and so forth. But later down the line, we will be looking for studios to volunteer to participate in this business model and sending out. So reaching out to studios that you know would be taking part and helping your members find positions in these studios, because we're all about job creation and trying to help them is one way you can help. If in terms of other collaboration, you can reach out to us and we can discuss what it is you'd want to contribute or how you'd want to contribute. And so that is.
What would be the email address or the website that they'd visit if they want to talk some more about possibly persons listening here or persons persons on YouTube maybe listening and say, oh, wow, this is something that I can be a part of. This is what I can specifically do. How would they contact you to be able to talk some more about a possible collaboration?
Okay, so the easiest email to remember of all the ones that we have is info@animationjamaica.com.
Okay.
So you can send all your questions, queries, suggestions even there. We're really open to hearing what it is that you think the animation industry should look like, because we're building the platform to support the future workforce, not just those who are here now, but those who will be taking advantage of it in the future.
Thank you so much, Shireen, for sharing that with us. And of course, we're going to talk later about some more in terms of how we can all collaborate together. But I want to ask Annalisa to share with us too a project that JAFTA is working on this year that there could be possible collaborations with those who are here, others who are listening, and how they can be a part of it if there are any projects that are happening live in 2021 that we can be a part of.
Okay, I mean, let me just say that any initiative that we have developed to date has been the product of collaboration, whether it be with another creative industry association, whether it be with public entities or private entities. And I think as we all know and will continue to promote, that we can only grow and further develop by sharing resources and relying on our respective expertise. In terms of collaborative projects for 2021, one that I would note is one that actually we've been working on since 2020, and it goes back to the for lack of it doesn't have an official title, but the Creative Home Initiative. So we had actually reached out to Jan and JAWS, Jamaica Writers Society. Yes, Shireen. Because we, again, part of what we want this platform to recognize is the importance. Sorry, I'm going to mute 1 second because there is an ice cream truck that is literally passing through. Right. So the importance of institutional building, because I cannot emphasize enough the role that creative industry associations play in helping to add structure and advancing the creative ecosystem. So to date, I know JAFTA, JAWS, JAN, despite our many and numerous achievements, I would say today that we have accomplished, we don't have a fixed facility. So most of our meetings are when, prior to the pandemic, used to take place through collaborations with Caramat, collaborations with UWI, et cetera, and other private entities. So in the same way how, Kingston Creative has wonderfully structured a creative hub, we want to advocate for a shared hub for creative industry associations. This will not only for the literal infrastructure of it, but because it will also provide a space where there can be more communication, there can be more shared resources. So since 2021, we've actually we've been speaking with various private and public organizations to find a way, and also, the government as well, to find a way where we can get a designated home, because I think there have been various creative institutions throughout the years, and I note the question in the chat, that there have been others. Where are they? Whether for theater, actors, etc. I know some have started in the past and have kind of dwindled down, not necessarily, obviously, for a variety of reasons. But part of it has to do with building that firm foundation, building that structure so that they can build out and be sustainable. And that is that at the end of the day is what we're trying to do. So the home is really just a metaphor for building that vehicle for sustainability, so that it can be continued and move forward. So that is definitely one of the main things that we want as JAFTA and JAN and JAWS to flesh out in 2021.
We'd be very happy if you said that you found a home in downtown Kingston.
We'd be very happy as well.
Because then that would legit have everybody, as you said, clustering into one space. And that creates, the collaboration becomes easier too, because we're not too far away. We're all close together. We can easily come together on projects that are important to all of us. So thank you very much for sharing that project with us. Of course, if persons want to be a part of that in any way, whether it is somebody who says, I have a space that you can use, or I know somebody who has a space, or there's another way to collaborate, how can they contact you to be a part of this specific project?
Simply info@jaftaonline.org. Hit us up on any of our social media platforms. And I know you're moving on, but I just want to quickly mention two things. Of course, another initiative that we're working on, which came up last summer, is a regional collaboration. So we're looking at a Caribbean film initiative of sorts, where, the details are to be further outlined, but essentially what we recognize, and I think Andrea and many of the other leaders of the industry associations have recognized the strength of the region, the Caribbean as a community. So we want an initiative where there is a forced collaboration, where the above the line team must be members of another Caribbean country. So whether you're screenwriters in Trinidad or your directors in Jamaica or your producer, etc., at least one member should be a part of another Caribbean island, English speaking, for now, because that is supposed to help foster, again, more regional collaboration and hopefully support for building the audiovisual sector.
Sounds good. That's amazing. Keeping everybody together, giving everybody an opportunity to share their own projects and, get assistance too, not just within their country, but across the region. So that's beautiful. And you also mentioned that one of the collaborations you have is with JAWS. So I'm going to ask Tanya to tell us a little bit about, one of the projects that you're working on, you know, for 2021 that persons can also collaborate with. It could be the one that Annalisa mentioned, or another one that you think is crucial for persons to be a part of.
Right. I think one of the interesting things about being a part of this conversation and being a part of this particular panel is, I think, with the exception of Evan, who I know, I've either worked with, gone to school with, or in other ways collaborated with all of these people here. And there's a way in which, and writing is probably the one that is most disparate, in that it is the loneliest of the set, and therefore it is the one where we are most likely to be in silos. One of the, so full disclosure, one of the things with JAWS right now is that JAWS needs to move towards having a new board. So when I'm talking about the collaboration I would like to see, it would be from a position of what I hope to engender, things we have tried to do in the past and would like to see come again. Writing happens in all of these spaces that we're talking about, and that is a part of what JAWS is about. And therefore, part of what we would love to see is greater connectivity between the different sectors, or I should say among the different sectors in creative. I remember some years ago, there was a really great meeting. It was put together by Kingston Book Festival between animators and writers. And at that point, it was one of the first times a lot of these animators knew book people, you know? I mean, and it's known because there are books that should be films, books that should be animation. You might be doing some other kind of writing, and you really need to get in touch with an editor. That's what we're about. So I think the most important collaborative thing we can do is to find a way to load up one another, not in the way that we're shouting at you, but in a way in that we can connect people. We can find ways to know that other organizations exist. I think it would actually be great if all of the organizations here did Instagram takeovers where writers go on Jaria and talk about writing and that perspective. Jaria people go on JAFTA and talk about their music.
Everything knows how it all comes together.
There is no way in which we do not work together. If you're building an animation, you need music at some point. It needs to be written at some point. You're doing a film, you might actually also need animation. Even if it is live action, you definitely need a writer, and you're going to need music. Even silent films and music, you know. So we are a very connected space, and I want to see us find traditional and very non-traditional ways to connect, because in the past, a lot of that connectivity has been driven by the fact that, well, Jamaica, it's a small world and we're a smaller island. And therefore a lot of people know each other, but it needs to, in order for this to be real and sustainable, it needs to go for more. And that's why Annalisa and the previous president of Jan, Kevin, and I worked so hard to try to get us this home that we could all live in together, and it hasn't happened. We're hoping that the people who take over after us will make it happen, because it's one of the key initiatives. If we live in ICM Yard, Big Yard is real enough.
Yeah.
So it is easier to collaborate. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, Yuan, she just called you out, you know, so I have no choice to jump into this conversation and talk to me about that big project that you're working on for 2021. I don't know if it's the Instagram takeover, but
well, you know, I trust good friend to call me out. Just my good friend. I when she was naming out the different things that people in here have done with her, I was trying to figure out which one I did not do. But but you know, let me tell you, what is hot in the mind of Jaria at this point in time is pulling the industry together. This conversation is critical. There is, I mean, the entertainment industry has been in the habit of doing a lot of things in person, live, together. You know, events are normally physical.
Right.
One of the things that we are working very, very hard to achieve is the concept of collaboration, even in a digital space. So we're trying to see if we can pull the entire entertainment industry together. The Jaws, the Jams, the Jaftas, everybody, the animators. It is interesting because when we have Jaria events, sometimes it feels as if it's a small group of us just trying to do something to make a difference, you know, to give entertainment a kind of voice that says, listen, we understand quality here too, you know, and we are a small island, but we punch very heavily above our weight class. But it would be good if we could bring in, and this is something we're really, really working on, the expertise and the ideas from JAFTA, the expertise and the ideas from JAWS, the expertise and the ideas from our animators, because it would lift the level of what we are doing. You know, it would lift the level of how Jamaica presents itself. The truth is, we have been forced to do things digitally, and I don't believe that we have even scratched the surface of our potential, simply because we are not doing it together. So the critical thing for us at this point in time, in this context, is one, how do we gather as a collective, a functional collective? I know Evan raised the issue earlier. There's people say collaboration and so on, but functionally, how can we actually collaborate and produce something and then produce something else and continue to produce other things together? That's one. And two, how do we build the capacity in the entertainment industry as a collective? Because it sometimes feels as if we are against each other, as if Jams exists.
And another piece, and another piece, and another piece.
Correct. How do we get everybody to understand that there is a pie that is in fact growing, it's not shrinking. And if together we can work in a functional way, all of us can actually get a bigger slice. It is possible.
You know, you want to feel like you're my co-host, because that was literally my next question. You know, I felt after talking to everybody, the consensus feels like there's fragmentation. There is after, there is one piece, and we're all over there doing our own thing. But how can we come together and strengthen the cultural and creative industry? I mean, what's that practical thing that we can do? And I feel like this is a part where I'm going to ask everybody to join the conversation to say, okay, yes, when it's supposed to be done, but from your perspective, what is that one step that we can take to make this happen? So I'm gonna throw it to you first. You can, let me know, what do you think? What's that? Is it after this call, there is a conversation between Jari and somebody else? What is it that you think we can do? What's that next step for you?
Well, the next step is that all the persons on this call need to actually sit in a closed conversation that looks honestly at what it is that each of us would like to achieve and how each of us can help the other to make that happen, right? It's because all of us have needs in the entertainment industry. Some of us have seats at other tables, that can actually assist each other. So that's a conversation, an open, honest conversation, because people have doubts. Some people have, they're not so sure what's going on over there, and there are people who have biases and all sorts of things. I mean, we have all humans in this conversation, so all that is possible.
Right.
But a first conversation, apart from the one that I have already started with Annalisa.
So I mean, both of you are tag teaming here, so we know that for sure that there needs to be a conversation had between all of you. Evan, how do you feel about that, or what is your suggestion of a next step in terms of how we can come together and collaborate? Forget the segment, coming together, everybody seeing you as one entity building the creative industry. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, certainly there is the need. There is a need for it, and there is a scope for it. Certainly, JARIA, for its part, is an industry, is an umbrella body, and JARIA is one of those organizations that we are a part of JARIA, but I must say that we, as JAMS, have not been as active. I don't know, Yuan is right there, listening keenly. We have not been as active as we needed to be over the last year or so. But that's not to say that we have not recognized or we do not value the role of JARIA, certainly not. In terms of collaboration, what I think we can move forward on really is to strengthen. My vote really is to strengthen an organization like JARIA. We have in JARIA an umbrella organization, and it's not just restricted, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not just restricted to music related entities per se.
You're correct, sir. You're correct.
Right. And so I think having an umbrella organization and strengthening that institutional capacity and all the other capacities that it may need, quite likely is a very good way to go. I mean, Tavia, your group has really gotten the ball rolling in terms of bringing us together, even a forum like this. But then in terms of a practical takeoff, I think JARIA really is an excellent vehicle because it needs to be strengthened. It needs to have that critical mass. That person can say, yes, it is truly a representative body of this wider creative and cultural space. So that's really where I see practically, a takeoff can take place.
Okay, that sounds good. So I already have 3 people saying yes, we're going to do a big yard community meeting. Everybody can come together. I feel like Yuan is going to actually send out that calendar invite. I am assigning it to you so that this meeting actually happens. And I know that Tanya is going to make sure you send it out. So I'm not worried about that. But
And Andrea will make sure, Andrea will facilitate it. She already said that. She just haven't heard.
Okay, all right. Well, let me ask Shireen to tell us, from your, if you have an additional point for this in terms of anything else that you think is a next step, or is this meeting the critical linchpin to get things rolling?
Well, based on what Evan just said about reaching critical mass, I believe the next step after that, after we have a cohesiveness of our industry, is visibility outside of our industry. So as Tanya said earlier, she's worked with each of us in different capacities. We all know Jamaica's Creative Society is a interactive community. You will eventually meet everybody if you stick around long enough. We are all here together. We're basically family for how long we're going to be staying with each other. So in terms of visibility outside of our industry, so that people who are not artists can talk about us to those who might be interested in helping us. One of the key stories of many creatives is they start out and they didn't have external support from their family. I think as the industry itself, we need a support group that is not only just us, but also those outside of our industry. For example, if I said I wanted to be an engineer, the average person on the street could tell me where to find training, who I could try, maybe what government body to contact about that. So I believe that the next step we need to take is visibility so that the average person on the street can then start to advocate for us so that we are part of Jamaican culture and not just Jamaican creative culture.
Okay, beautiful. So we're all here saying we're gonna have that big yard meeting. You can invite me if you want. I don't mind. And we're all gonna start talking to each other so that we can then find those opportunities for collaboration. And I'm gonna use this time to get some questions from our audience. They've been so gracious in listening to us, listening to some of the ideas, how to be a part of our organizations. But let's hear from them if they have any questions in terms of, anybody from the panelists, you can volunteer to answer any of these questions. I'm gonna go from top to see what I have here. I know there's a question from YouTube earlier. What are some of the resources that are available that people in the creative industries are not utilizing enough? Any of you can pitch to answer that question if you'd like. Annalisa. Did I see you hold your hand up?
I was waiting for permission to unmute.
No problem. Permission granted.
Thank you. I did see that earlier, and I mean, there are the obvious things in terms of maybe not taking advantage of certain initiatives that are publicized, etc. Maybe not reading all the relevant resources and taking advantage of those. But again, since the focus is on these creative associations, I think one of the key things that persons do not take advantage of is themselves as a resource within this organ, not taking advantage of the associations. In other words, we are not separate from the communities in which we're trying to represent. We are here to represent those needs, try and fill those gaps. If there's a gap that you feel exists that's not being addressed by the association, become a part of it. Become a part of the board, become a part of a subcommittee so that you can advocate and you can actually play an active role in creating the change that you want to see. So I definitely want to highlight that as again, because I don't think people realize the power that we have as an association, as a body, and the power that the individuals have in joining these associations and in putting forward their perspectives. So, which is why forums such as these are very useful, because again, feedback is key, data is key. In building any industry, in building any community, you can use that. That is what you use to address the issues.
Wow, that's a critical point, because I mean, I feel like even a lot of creatives, they say, okay, I'm here. And then you have these big organizations that just seem like I can't be a part of it. It's in a silo. It's only if you know Tanya, or if it's only if you know Shireen, that she probably can give you a bus and give you a number to call somebody. But what you're saying is, if we're looking in and say, okay, they're not representing me in the way that I would like, then okay, come and make that change. Be a part of it so that you can then say, this is missing. How can we start doing this? How can we start looking at these issues that everybody's not going to see, which is why it's important to all come together and talk. We're talking about refreshments in the chat, guys. So, you can drop your orders in, if it's wine, yeah, we'll get to it later on. You can drop it in.
Everyone is prepared.
Oh, he's sharing. Okay.
If I jump in on what just said, the part of showing up isn't even just also about making a change, because it's also making your presence felt. And a lot of times we feel left out, but nobody left you out. You just stood outside the door. And if you don't step in, maybe we didn't know you were out there. And so it's very important for you to make your presence felt. And there is, I like to say, as I've recently taken to harassing institutions that I think need to be changed on Twitter, I say, behold the power of Twitter. We're all of these associations, a lot of government bodies now are in social media. And what that has done is that that's made the space more democratic. Now, I use the term very loosely because democracy can give you great things and it can give you Trump. Sorry, there's some beeping outside. It's not to me, they're just beeping. But yes, but what has resulted is that there are ways in which you can make your voice heard. You can be felt. And there are also ways I think it is critical that one of the things we are talking about that COVID has wrought is that it's forced us to go online more. What I would love to bring in a part of that conversation is that it's pushed the gatekeepers to make it easier for a lot of people to be online. There are a lot of Jamaican small businesses that wanted to do e-commerce, but had no real payment gateway, right? And if you did PayPal, and a lot of you know what those challenges are. But COVID came, everybody pivot till then taunted, and therefore the powers that be, all of a sudden, all of these banks are like, oh yeah, we have this option.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, we have that option. Where them did they? And it's
all them, they were them, they did they.
it's critical you know, for us to take advantage of these and make your presence felt. You know, it is important when people post things on social media, when these institutions post things, ask questions, respond. That is why it is there. Make your voice be heard. You know, I have seen where on Instagram, I did not know all of this time they've been telling us that Black people don't read, and I knew it was a lie. And I was using me and some friends as proof that it was a lie. And now on Instagram, it is so clear that it has been a lie from how long? Because you have all of these people talking about all of these books that they love and all of that. Make your presence felt.
Boy, I mean, I feel like the Instagram takeover that you talked about earlier, maybe that needs to happen, because in our chat, we're having a comment from Carl, and it's, you know, when I hear Jaria, I think as a layman, as a regular person, I think music. But you told us, Ewan, earlier that it's not just music. Everyone explained that it's more than that. But when I see the name, that's what I'm going to think. So how do we, you know, make sure that the different things that are a part of these organizations, creative, know about them? So after these meetings, how do we come out differently to say, hey, even though this is a name, these are all things that we can be a part of? I mean, how do we do that?
The solution is in the doing, you know. Let me just say, you've had different brands. For example, ATL. If I was give them any unsolicited and unplugged advertisement, started out as Appliance Traders Limited. And they were selling air conditioning units. Now, if I want an AC, that's not necessarily, when I think of ATL, that's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking all sorts of other things. Over time, once it is done and it is established and the connections are made, people, it's a thing with branding and all of these things. So we have more than enough in here, in this room, of us, among us, who are handling literary arts, who are handling film and animation, who are dealing in dramatic arts, in all sorts of things, for us to pull it together so that in a year or 2 years' time, when people see Jaria, we're not only talking about one Reggae Month, where we're celebrating Jamaica's music, but we're talking about Jamaica's cultural products, which go well beyond just music, good, but which take in fashion and gastronomy and animation and all of these things. That is where we need to go. So I'm saying the solution is in the doing. Once we bring it together and once we start to speak as one voice, who is going to ask the question?
AKA meeting up with one.
Correct.
So, the next question I'm gonna take, I'm seeing another question in the chat here. What is each of your organization's advice to your members who are facing challenges as a result of the pandemic? Anybody can jump in. That's a question I'm here from the chat. Go ahead.
Shireen wants to say something.
Okay, so I want to take this on two different sides. One is the mental aspect, because this is a conversation we had recently with our members in Jan, even the collaboration thing. The mental aspect is there are organizations and associations such as ourselves that are providing opportunities for you. You have to be your biggest fan. We can provide as many opportunities as, you know, there are fish in the sea. If you do not have the confidence in yourself to apply to these opportunities and to take advantage of them, then there's really nothing we can do outside of that.
So just say a big deal and have the confidence in yourself to know say a big deal.
Yeah, that's the mental aspect. Now to talk about the physical, with this meeting as a whole, there are associations. Reach out to them, find out if there are any resources that they can lead you to, find out if there are any opportunities that they are offering. I personally had to go read Jampro's website the other day to find out exactly everything that Jampro is offering to us and all the resources, because it might say Jamaica Productions Corporation. They do, similar to Jario, they do so much more. Find out what your government is doing for you, because the very thing that you say they might not be doing for you might actually be a sentence on the website and you just don't know about it. So those are the two things. Inform yourself and believe in yourself.
I would just like to add to that, especially in the earlier parts of the pandemic, because Shireen was talking about the mental aspect, but I was coming at it from a different perspective, because as creatives, this is where you thrive. So we actually, in the beginning, we had a lot of our members who reached out to say, they were experiencing depression because they were isolated, they were, unable to find a creative outlet, which they're used to. So we definitely, during that time, tried to ramp up the virtual meeting so that persons could have like a space to share and encourage each other. During that time, we also, this time, I don't know how to classify it, encourage them to, of course, use this opportunity, which, person saying, use this time to learn more and focus on the things that you really want to do, and use this time to build out those projects that you had been procrastinating on for several times. And of course, as everyone has been saying, in trying to find this silver lining, this pivoting, this adapting, find creative ways to continue your art during this time. So you have persons making Zoom movies, Zoom shorts. You had persons that got creative with mini crews so that they could continue productions within a safe, structured environment. So it was really about just trying to encourage persons to adapt, rise to the challenge, so to speak, because as we have all realized, this is a continuing situation, but there are some positives that we will take away and which will continue long after the pandemic has gone. And so those are the key takeaways that you want to use. Learn to use what this pandemic has forced us to take advantage of.
Wow, thank you so much. This has been such a fruitful conversation. Andrea has left a nice note for you in the chat, so you can check that. But I'm gonna ask each of you if there are any closing words to those of our friends on YouTube about, what do you want them to take away from our discussion today? Either of you can let us know what that is so that we can have a nice closeout. They can know what the next step is and just how you want them to feel after this big discussion that we've had just now. Anybody? I won't pick on you like I'm
I'll take it. Because I had a comment coming off what you just said, what was the discussion just now. So, and I think this is a good way to close out as well. I think for members of the different organizations, for members of the industry, whether you're a member of organizations or not, the industry as a whole, I think now is really the perfect time for the industry personnel, the practitioners, to be part of organizations and associations. I think now is when we can be most valuable to them in a time when they are having their adversities, basically. And I'm speaking now from our very own experience here at JAMS. We've just started what should be a year-long campaign to reach out to the industry. I'm hoping that some of you have seen our advertisements and seen our presence a little more, but we're set to escalate that. And the whole idea really is that we want to now bring into the fold, so to speak, the rest of the industry so that we can deliver value to them at a time when they need it most, right? And I think each association really, could maybe focus on that, so that the pie, the bigger pie, the entire industry as a whole can benefit when each industry is stronger by virtue of its base of members.
Beautiful. Anyone else has any closing words for us, for our friends online and those who are here with us today?
I'd like to say that I think, okay, so first note is I would like to submit for consideration that what Jamaica has to offer is not a pie, but a potato pudding.
Pudding, correct.
Or and it lasts longer outside of the fridge.
Corrected.
It will make it to the fridge.
The real point
Very well.
was that, and I think if this conversation has shown it, if you were not aware of any of these organizations that is relevant to you or someone that you know, and this is the first time you are hearing about them, reach out. If someone you think might not know about us, tell them about it. And there are others. There are spaces like Jam Copy. There are people who should have been here and couldn't make it or couldn't fit or whatever. There are other organizations. Find out. And a lot of times these organizations are talking about others through collaboration. So you can learn more just by following them. For us at JAWS, we are looking to be able to see the full impact and footprint of writers. So when you go on our social media, comment, reach out to us, tell us what you do, tell us who we are, because it is very important for us to know who you are. And and I have found that a lot of times when we talk about the I don't even know what to call COVID, we talk about being able to cope and to rise above. And I just want to say, for many creatives, as Annalisa was indicating, for some people, it was a moment to thrive. For others of us, at different times, you just couldn't manage. And if you find yourself in that space, one, don't be too hard on yourself. But two, the digital space is full with a lot of things. Find something there that can inspire you and help you to reconnect, and definitely look for that and find that community that is there that can help you get over this time in life, which is just an awful hump, but we're getting over it one way or another.
Yep, big meeting I go on. We're gonna make
Correct.
it.
Correct.
Any words before I tell our friends thank you. Once.
What I would like for each of us to do in the interest of that same general membership is just to repeat where we can be found. JariaEntertainment.com is where Jaria can be found.
Nice and easy. Everyone?
Find us on Instagram. That is our home. That is our we have several homes, but right now that's where we're living, you know. And it's Jams for Music. Easy as that. JAMMS, digit 4, music.
Okay, Shireen.
Okay, we can be found at animationjamaica.com. Like Jams, Jan is also on Instagram. It's our new hometown, so.
Annalisa.
At JAFTA Online on all social media, and jaftaonline.org for the website.
Beautiful. And Tanya, you can tell us.
For JAWS Jamaican Writers on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, but we are more active on Twitter and on Instagram. So you're most likely to find us responsive there.
Beautiful. What a nice talk. What a nice discussion we've had. I mean, we even come out of it with action plan and big meeting and wine and all of niceness. Wow, this was it. Like it's the first of many, right?
I'll show everybody what's written on my glass after we're closed.
I mean, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank those who have joined us on YouTube, those who are here with us in the Zoom. Don't forget that this Sunday, it's all about the art walk. We're going to be live from downtown Kingston, the art district. Yes, we're calling it that because that's what we're building. We're going to be talking about music. We're going to have sound clash. I mean, I can't tell you everything, but you have to tune in. Tune in to the YouTube, be a part of it. And thank you so much